Looks like it's $7 per vehicle.
Hey, but they sell light meat here.
Okay.
Get some for dinner. Hello. Yes. Thank you.
Hardy Lake. We made it.
Hello. 133.
Tony and I stayed at Hardy Lake State Recreation Area in September of 2022 for the first time. We had never been to Hardy Lake before, but we really did enjoy our trip there. So we wanted to share some of the important details and some of the things we thought you might need to know if you want to plan your trip there as well. So the first thing I wanted to let you know is that we did do a full campground drive-through. If you want to go straight to that and skip all of this part, you're welcome to do that. Just go down in the YouTube description. I'll put a link in there. You can click on that and it'll take you straight over to the full campground drive-through, and you can just skip all of this part. Okay, so Hardy Lake, they do have two campgrounds. Two areas. There's a primitive campground that's very limited. I think there was like maybe 15 sites or less there. We did do a drive-through. Most of those were just tenners that had boats. It looked like they were just planning on going fishing. I told Tony is probably just a bunch of guys just camping out for the night so they can go fishing late at night or early in the morning. So we stayed at the full electric sites. It's called Shale Bluff, SHALE BLUFF. The primitive campground is called Wooster, like rooster with a W, just so you'll know if you need to know that for any reason. We'll just mostly talk about the electric site area in Shale Bluff because that's where Tony and I stayed. So each site does have a full electric. Now you do have to fill up your water. There are stations throughout the campground. Some of the campsites are lucky enough where they can stretch their water hose over. We've seen several people do that, but unfortunately we had to just kind of stop in the middle of the road. You just kind of pull over a little bit and you fill up your water tank because there are no city hookups at each site. Now the campsites are gravel sites. Unless you are a camp host or you get a handicap site, those are paved or concrete areas, but otherwise they are full gravel sites. And this SRA is just like most typical state parks. You're going to have to dump your gray and black tanks on the way out. They had 2 dump stations as you work your way out of the campground. There are, I think, a total of 3 bathhouses and restroom areas that they call comfort stations. They also have those vault toilets positioned throughout the campground more conveniently. A few other things that you might need to keep in mind about the campground. It is pretty small. As a matter of fact, they told us that it was so small that they do not even have a camp store. So just be aware of that. You can get wood, and I believe they had an area where you could get ice, and that is it. So anything else you would need to leave the park to go get any kind of food or supplies. Something else to keep in mind, the firewood. So any DNR properties, they're concerned about any of the pests that come with your home firewood that you bring in. So it's really not allowed unless you debark it. So you can bring it in debarked, or you can buy it. It has to have that special stamp saying that it's been cured a certain way to get rid of all those pests, or it may be confiscated. And believe me, that can happen because it happened to my dad several years ago at a different park. So just keep that in mind. Some other cool things about the campground is that it is very, very flat. So it's awesome for anyone that wants to ride their bikes or kids with skateboards or scooters or anything like that. It's really nice and flat. Some of the additional amenities they did have some ponds that you could fish at, and they sell the bait as you come in, so you can buy that there, which is funny because you can't buy anything else. They don't have a camp store, but you can get your live bait. They have the typical hiking trails. They did have several of those, and we had fun doing some hiking and earning one of the SRA pins that were available. So you'll see a picture of that here in a minute. Another cool thing they had was an archery range. There was actually someone there practicing when we were driving around one day, so I got a little bit of footage of that. There are some basketball courts and plenty of playgrounds for the kids. Now, I don't think I had mentioned yet the huge lake that they have. So you can actually have motorboats and jet skis on this lake because it is big enough, to go. You can go boating, fishing. They have a beach area so that you can swim. Now, it was already closed for the season when we went, but it looked really, really nice. It was really huge, nice and sandy area, a big beach area for you to go and have fun when that season is in. They did have a marina. They had some fish cleaning stations. They had a fishing pier. They had 4 boat ramps that you could use for all you fishermen out there that like to get your fishing game on. And then I saved the best thing for last. One of the really, really cool features here was the live birds of prey that they have on display everywhere. So up towards the front office, they have an area where you can view. They have like a very large, 2 large cage areas that they put a couple different birds at during the day that you can go see, and they have information about them. They also have the live birds of prey on display at the amphitheater. They like give a little show where you can get more up close and personal with them, and they do a little talk session to tell about each of the birds of prey that they bring for display. Another really super cool thing they had at Hardy Lake was a roving naturalist that came around the campground at scheduled times to show off some of the wildlife they had and some of the birds of prey. So keep that in mind when you go. That is definitely something to look forward to. All right, well, what do you think of Hardy Lake? Campsites? Campsites are pretty nice.
Yeah. Fairly quiet. Fairly quiet.
Oh, let's see your pen. We worked for a pen. It's actually considered volunteer time. It's an hour. You just pick up trash on a trail. So this is Hardy Lakes. It's cool. It's got the owl. We did see those today in the sanctuary.
2 owls up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They've been on for like 5 minutes now. The question is, when do you say enough is enough and ask them to turn it off? We'll check back in. Okay, I know you can't see me very well, but the guy just came over and said he has a new truck and that's why he couldn't get the lights to go off, and he apologized. So there you go. There we go.